And President Emeritus, Corporate Council on Africa, Stephen Hayes, joins me live from Canada for more on this. Good to have you join us.
Well, thank you. It's good to be with you, but should be under better circumstances.
Absolutely. And this is the latest in the growing number of mass shootings in the U.S., as well as campus shootings. I want to get your reaction and thoughts on this latest one.
Okay. Well, first of all, when you hear it's in the Michigan area, it's the largest population of Arab Americans, and so you worry about misinterpretation. So I was relieved, in fact, that is not an apparent factor at all. And so I think that was one of the biggest relief. The shooting itself has become so commonplace that it just becomes, in many cases, just one of several news stories of the day. As I was looking at CNN earlier this morning, there was more attention at first to the announcement of someone running for president. It just has been commonplace every day, and it's just it's an absurdity that is likely going to continue for a while. I think there's a lot of frustration. I think there's people who are angry. I think the growing disaffection with society. It's complex. I'm not a psychologist, but I think that there's a lot of anger in this country, and I think there's also a lot of disaffection, and I think that's part of it. But how an individual acts, how an individual responds to it all just varies, in fact, by the individual.
And it's easy for Americans, and even just in any society where you have these kind of regular killings and shootings, to become numb. But as you follow some of these cases, what do you find to be the common pattern in terms of motive and motivation?
Well, the common factor, as I said, I think is disaffection. People individually feeling out of place in society, anger that they can't cope with, and they release it. There doesn't seem to be any single factor that you could say that applies to all the mass shootings. And we're talking about mass shootings in three figures now over time. So again, it's an individual reaction. I think there is the fact that there's such access to automatic weapons is a big problem. Even reducing automatic weapons, I think, would help. You can't shoot indiscriminately as easily if you don't have automatic weapons.
And do you think, because again, sometimes when some of these reports are taken and then suspects are arrested or even killed in the process, one of the things you hear in the long run from law enforcement agents in the investigation is that, look, this person has a history of mental health. And so one wonders whether it is that America has a mental health crisis or a gun crisis.
Well, I think it has a mental health crisis more than it has a gun crisis. Guns simply make it easier for people with severe mental health problems to act on it. So I think, I understand the political sides of all that, but I think by far the mental health and education process is at peril in this country right now. We clearly do have a mental health problem. One simply looks at the anger of the two political parties, the anger of individuals, how we act on it rather than we do not mediate. We take stronger stands and become angry at one another. Yes, this country has a mental health problem.
And I wish we could talk more about the Safer Community Act by President Biden, but he's been pushing for that even in the last State of the Union speech. He did push Congress to pass it, but my time is up. Thank you so much for talking to us, as always. President Emeritus, Corporate Council on Africa, Stephen Hayes.
Thank you. It's my honor. Thank you.